Hey guys and girls, hope everyone's doing well. Happy weekend to you all. Hope you enjoy your long weekend that you've got with May Day. So that's just a reminder as well for everyone. Tomorrow, in terms of volume on the markets, is going to be a little bit slower. So just be careful when you do trade. Doesn't mean that there won't be movements. It doesn't mean that you don't have to trade. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't trade. But it just means bear in mind that there will be less volume within the markets. Okay. Um, so before we get kick started for the week, first thing, just want to say congratulations to everyone in the group last week. It seems like everyone did really, really well in the markets. Our signals did really, really well. And some really good results from everybody all round. And I think the main thing I notice with most of you guys now is that patience and that kind of mindset now of not kind of being desperate to get in a trade and being very patient and waiting for that market to come to you. Which is very, very important. Okay, which is very, very important. So well done to everybody. In terms of the weekly market breakdown last week, so I'm the weekly candles now. I think every single market did go in the direction that we wanted it to go. Some of them, like GBP USD, for example, didn't actually get the pullback that we needed, which I did mention that was going to be tough to get that. DXY pushing into that 103 happened absolutely beautifully. We had Aussie Dollar Cad, which is what we were expecting, some more bearish movement. We certainly had that. We had Aussie Dollar CHF to actually reject these regions, which we certainly had that as well. Euro CAD expected actually to start pushing, and we actually continued that downside. But now, once again, the buyers have come into control. So I feel like this market is gearing up and getting ready for long positions. When it's going to happen, we're just going to have to wait and see. Euro NZD was expecting that pullback, which we did actually get down to these levels here before actually pushing higher. GBP Aussie dollar exactly the same, expecting more bullish movement. We saw a big pullback all the way below the previous weekly low before we then actually pushed back in the direction that we believe we would. And GJ expected that kind of turnaround and rejection around this level, which is again what we did have come through in this market, down to the liquidity down here. Okay, so real successful last week. So if you didn't watch last week's, then what you should do is you should be going back, having a look at it, having a look at why I analyzed things the way that I did, so that you can learn for future weeks, okay? Because most of you guys will know the structure of me doing this video is the same every single week, okay? I don't change anything that I do, and that's the reason is because it works, okay? It does work. It's not going to work every week on every single market, as we saw EuroCAD. Personally, I favored the longs. Now, I know Fungi in the group favored the shorts, and he was right. Great. But the other 9 markets that I did all worked out in the direction that I believe they would do, and that's all because of the weekly analysis, the weekly bias, looking at nothing more than the weekly, daily, and then potentially the 4 hours to find those valuable zones. Okay, so if you haven't watched it, please go back and watch it. If you're listening to this right now, please just do me one favor and just tick like on this post so I know on this video, so that I know you've seen it. And yeah, let's move on to the charts for the week ahead. So DXY is now getting towards that. Well, we're already there, but crucial point now on DXY. Okay, crucial point. And for this, I think I'm probably going to have to drop down into the monthly, which I don't do very often. Okay, I don't do very often, but what we can see on the monthly is just use this circle tool. So we can see this is a weird circle tool actually. I think they've changed the way this actually works, which is actually quite good because then you can just draw it quite nicely and quickly without having to reshape it. So what we could see is just that constant digging over the last 10 years or so, just that constant digging here for, okay, I dislike this circle thing now. Constant digging for liquidity. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to push this market higher. So people that are messaging me and saying, "Oh, are we looking short now? Okay, are we looking short now on DXY because we're now at this level?" Okay, no, I'm not looking short because the order flow is bullish. Okay, the higher highs, higher lows. Yes, we have a barrier. Okay, which is, this. I'm just going to do this roughly. Yes, we have a barrier, which is this level right here. But you can see we've closed above that. Sorry, we haven't closed above it because it's a new. Yeah, we would. When we open, yeah, this is a closed candle, sorry, because this is a monthly candle. Um, so we've actually closed above this. Now, this is a level we haven't closed above. We haven't been above in a closed form since the 1st of November 2002. Okay, so we've got some significant buying pressure within this market. So would I be selling this market from here? Okay, yes, it's a valuable opportunity to sell. Of course it is. But again, just make sure you are trading with that order flow. Just because we're here now doesn't mean that immediately what we do is go, right, let's look at shorting this market back down to here or whatever it might be. We've got obviously a nice order block here. But no, that doesn't mean that at all because right now the order flow is bullish, okay, and that hasn't changed. Nothing has changed, okay. We always have to look for something to change. So what I would be looking at personally is potentially seeing if we can just pull up into this region here over the next few weeks or so, which is 106 essentially. Okay, so 106.5. So that's what I would be looking at on DXY. Okay, and unless anything changes in the meantime, and then maybe we could see pullbacks coming back down into these levels here where we've got the order blocks and the liquidity, which is around 96 or so. But otherwise, we have to continue with that bullish bias. Now, this week, again, is going to be tough because we had such a bullish week last week. So the areas that I would be marking out, there's probably not going to be much on the daily at all. But if we look on the weekly time frame, this is the area on the weekly time frame, okay? And the daily time frame, we will find the order block. So we've got the last we've got the last bearish candle here, and we've got the lowest point here. Now, because this ends up being a massive region, I would filter it to this, okay? Because this here is 101 all the way down to 99.8. Okay, so this candle here is my order block. Now, this market coming all the way back down here, if that was to happen, that is going to be a potential move for the entire week. Okay, we're not going to come all the way back down here in 1 week and then come all the way back up by the end of the week. Okay, that's absolutely not going to happen. So we can go down to the 4 hour. We can have a little look at some cheeky little areas. So we've got the lowest candle and the last bearish candle, which is this one here. That's more at 101.5. Again, it still requires a considerable drop. So we can continue trading dollar in a bullish fashion, but be aware that the downside movements could come down to these regions here. Okay, that one there, and we've also got that one there as well. Okay, so they're the regions we can look at for some seriously good long positions. Yeah, so that's where we can look at some seriously solid long positions on the DXY. Okay, not really too much more I can do on this market because we're so far out of range. Okay, and because we're so far out of range, it makes it a lot more difficult to think about targets and all that kind of stuff. But the first thing, obviously, we're going to see here is this could be the high. This could be the pullback into liquidity. Again, I don't like early weeks. I don't like Mondays and stuff. So we might even break that and actually pull down even further to like 1 hour levels down here. But otherwise, our first target is going to be looking at this kind of high here. Okay, and that's going to be our first target. What we might see is the market come up to this region and then actually fail to make a new high. And if it fails, then we could potentially see that short-term downside movement into these levels here. And that can provide those short opportunities as long as everything is in our favor in terms of has the structure changed? Have we decided that currently the bears are in control? But that doesn't mean the overall movement of the XY is bearish. Okay, all it will mean is a short-term pullback like this. Okay, the only time we're going to start to see a big change of structure is when we see something like this, big failure and big takeout of structure. Okay, big rejection, manipulation, whatever you want to call that, round about COVID time, and then breaks of structure and then heading down. Okay, this is not that. The pullback to here is not that. Pull back down to here is not that. Pull back down to here is not that. Breaking of these levels, okay, is beginning the start of a full-on bearish structure to say that USD will weaken. Okay, so let's have a look at a few markets. So we've got GBP USD. So if we're going to continue that bias of being bearish on this market, we're going to be looking for the liquidity down this region here. We're already sitting in this kind of order block region, but maybe we can push even further into the 1.2326s. If we go on the daily time frame, we've already had a little bit of rejection there. Nothing really going on around these levels to even find an entry. So this week going to be very difficult to find an entry. On the daily, what we've done as well is we've created a bullish candle engulfing, and we have breached the previous one. So it shows us that what we might see is we might see that bullish pullback first, which is kind of very common, as you guys know. But we might see that bullish pullback first. So then if we go down into the 4 hour, the only area, what's going on here? The only area that would be of interest to me around here, and because this is quite a little bit of a consolidation region, okay, I'd probably just take into account this whole area just so I know if we're coming into this region, this is where I can expect to see sellers come back into the market. But 1.2750 would be good opportunities for sells. Okay, 1.2750 would be good opportunities for sells. Even 1.27. Okay, pushing into this region is where we need to focus on this market, and then we can look for those sell opportunities. Now that is a big distance away. So this week could be a case of doing a few more trades in the opposing direction, because we could see big retracement happening. Okay, so that's GBP USD. Let's have a little look on Aussie Dollar Cad. Okay, so we've got an Aussie Dollar Cad. Again, massive movement to the downside. What are we potentially reaching for? Okay, we've grabbed all this liquidity here, and we've sucked all that up, and now obviously we're looking at making a new low, in my opinion. Now this is the thing that is difficult, okay, with trading. Okay, now here I know I can see it very, very clearly that what we have done is we broke structure, right? We did break structure to the upside. Okay, the only thing and the only reason why I'm potentially favoring downside movement, not only because the momentum right now is really strong, but also we broke structure here. Okay, we broke structure here, and we also came back to this level right here, which is our order block on a weekly time frame, which is obviously a very, very strong time frame. Okay, so that there would have provided an absolute tremendous trade. But we've broken structure on the upside here. Okay, but what I believe is the actual overall weekly structure is still bearish. Okay, we could call this a little bit of a collapsed head and shoulders as well. And I think the market is targeting these lows down here. I mean, no one's going to argue that with me based on the bearish momentum candles. But we can, again, I always say this, and I even post this in the chat sometimes when people send me the trades that they are currently in. We always want to just be aware of, let's just say this was a valid, I mean, it is a valid break of structure, but let's just say our bias based on this valid break of structure here is now bullish. Okay, if our bias is bullish, then we can expect this move to calm down around this level and then actually maybe even push the upside. So always be careful of the structure, watching the structure in these levels right here, because we know that this is where the favored move for the long side for the strategy that we use. Now, because of the weekly time frame, because of everything I just spoke about, what I actually prefer is that downside movement. Okay, what I actually prefer is further downside movement to continue with this momentum. Okay, but I am being very, very cautious and aware that actually we've got a break of structure to the upside. We've got a pullback into the previous order block where we could certainly see a push to the upside. Okay, so always do that way. Even when I'm in trades and I'm looking on like hourly time frames, if I see something like, if I'm in a long position and I see that there's been a break of structure for a sell, I always look at that and I always look at taking profits off at those points where if it was a sell that I was looking for, where I would look for that sell, because we could be incorrect. Okay, so just make sure you do that as well. As we look on the daily, lots of selling pressure. Like we can see there, the wicks have come all the way back up, all the way back up, all the way back up, and every time they're failing. And we've also come into this region here. This is what we call like a mitigation block, basically, or a breaker block. Okay, this is the last one that before a new high was made, it was then broken. And what the market tends to do is retest this area before continuing to push lower. Now, I'm on the daily time frame now, so rather than looking at that weekly structure, we could also look at this daily order block structure, which is here. Okay, and the reason I've highlighted that is just because we're on the daily, there's a little wick here as well. So this short move here could end up this week heading from 907.60 all the way down to 8950. Okay, that would be my favorite move for this week. Okay, looking to see 8950 tapped into this week. Okay, on the daily, it doesn't really give me anything in terms of where I would like to enter this market. We've got this odd little candle right here, which provides the order block that we've worked off of. And now what we've got, very nice, very clear, is bearish order flow. Okay, so we've pulled into this region here. Let me just delete that. So we pulled into this region here. Let me also delete the moving average. So we pulled into that level there. Okay, we pushed down. We slightly made a new low. We pushed down. We then made another new low. We came back into this level here. Look at the precision of this again. Like I will always say the same thing to you guys. The precision of what we do in terms of the strategy that we use can be absolutely incredible. Okay, even this one here just missed it by about 2 pips. Okay, 2 pips. Now the reason I've highlighted this candle is because this candle is too big. When the candle is too big, okay, my argument or what I tend to do personally, this here, okay, this is the hourly time frame I'm on now, guys. So this one here that I've just drawn, okay, that's fine because it's not too big. It's very clear that the orders came in here to propel the market, okay, to take the market out and break the structure, okay. So this is our breaker structure right here. Most of you guys know this already, but I always just mark this with that little X, okay? That's our breaker structure. This here, and this is what I mark with the dollar, is our optimum point of entry, okay? And as you can see, it's absolutely perfect on the 1 hour time frame. So our short positions here, if we were trading this last week, okay, would have been somewhere around this level. Stop loss just above here, 22 pips or so. First target, this level here, 2.5 risk reward. Second target, this one here, 3.28, and then whatever else happens, okay? That is our ideal scenario of a trade, okay? Now, this one here, the order block on the hourly will be here. As you can see, we did just miss that level. That's fine. It's not going to happen every single time. Now, the reason why I've got this one here is because this is way too big for my liking. Okay, this is way too big. And there's no real set rule to knowing what's too big and what's too small in terms of pips. It's just what it looks like. This is fine because it's a small, nicely managed candle. This one here, the last bullish candle and the highest candle, which is this one here. Again, it's a nice small area in comparison to what we're looking at with the rest of the market. This one here, if I was to highlight this entire block as an order, I'll try and explain this actually so that it just makes a bit more sense to people. Yes, okay, we would have got a lovely entry on it, okay? The problem is the orders aren't coming in down here. Okay, the orders didn't come in down here. The orders didn't come in all the way down here. The orders came in from this level, okay, from the high to around here. That's where we started moving and that's where we broke structure. So that there for me is the refined area. Now we wouldn't have got a trade and that's fine. It's not going to work every single time, but you don't want to be highlighting massive areas like this because it's just far too big and far too risky. And what I know that people will do is they'll look at placing a trade here and they'll say, but I don't want to put my stop here because that is 60 pips. Okay, I don't want a 60 pip stop. So what I'll do is I'll just put it above this one here. And that will mean that they've got a 15 pip stop. Great stuff. If it works out, great risk reward. But what will then happen is things like this, where the market will continue to come up and take your stops out. If you have got a big order block, the other thing that you could do, okay, and again, I don't know if this will still misses it by about a pip, is you can divide that block up by 50%, okay? So just half the block. So what I do is I just put my Fibonacci on 0, 50, 100. And then what I can do is I can see there that the 50% region is there. And then what I would do is I would just highlight that 50% region, okay, which is basically showing the same as just highlighting this last close of this candle and this one. As you can see, both of these missed by about a pip or two anyway, but I'm just showing you so that you guys are fully aware. Anyway, on the hourly time frame, what would I want to see? I would want to see the market come up to probably this here. Okay, this is obviously also an order block here that has come down and just about broke structure. But I'd probably want to play it a little bit safer. Okay, and I probably want to see the market come into this 9122. Okay, 9122 at least before considering entries. Okay, and then heading down to the downside to the targets that I just mentioned to you guys. Okay, so that is Aussie Dollar Cad. Aussie Dollar CHF. Okay, that was a bit more of a pullback on Aussie Dollar CHF. Yeah. So again, with Aussie Dollar CHF, yes, we've broken structure to the upside, but I wonder if break a block here with the last high, order block here with the highest point of that region, that area. I wonder if this is a very similar scenario to Aussie Dollar Cad, okay, where we've actually got the break of structures to the upside like that. But we have got bearish order flow up to this point, and maybe this is just a much bigger dig deep kind of scenario where we will then go out and take out the liquidity that we've got down here. Okay, so I would favor, and especially based on last week, I'm still going to favor the bearish movements anyway. So on the daily time frame, on Friday, very nice trade set up there. Again, this kind of breaker block, kind of mitigation block area, which is where that last low was. We broke that last low. We came back and retested that last low. Very similar to the strategy that we have, right? When we break, we come back to that region before looking at our entries. So with this market, first target, okay, is going to be this kind of candle here, which is the order block here, which works out to be, what is that, 6750? That's only about 20 pips or so. Second target is going to be this region down here, which is where that liquidity is going to lie. And obviously we've got some order blocks hanging around this region as well. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking for. Seeing the market push down into, oh, I just realized that was actually a lot more pips than I thought it was. 6770, that's 100 pips, sorry, not 20 pips. Oh yeah, so first target is actually about 100 pips, okay? Yeah, 120 pips. Second target becomes a lot bigger, around 300 pips or so. So that's what I'd be kind of expecting on this market and in the kind of longer term. And if we look on the 4-hour time frame, okay, we've got a nice clear order block. Let's just tidy all this stuff up now. So we've got this level right here, which is the area that would become interesting to me. Okay, nice round figure, 6950. That's where we want to see that market come back into before we then start to take that. Okay, that could be a mammoth trade opportunity on Aussie Dollar CHF. Okay, we're looking at this kind of level here. We will get a tighter stop, but just for the purpose of this video, we've got a 2.5 free risk reward there with 150 pip trade. And potentially, if we do seriously get a meltdown on Aussie dollar, then we've got that kind of opportunity. Now, realistically, what people will do in this group, I know, people will be having more of a stop loss like this once they see that 5-minute, 1-minute, 15-minute structure. Okay, 24 risk rewards sitting there, and a potential 10 to 12 risk rewards sitting there. So this will be a good one to keep your eyes on this week, guys. Okay. Euro Cad. Let's have a look on the weekly. So this is the one that I got wrong last week. Okay, this is the one I got wrong last week. So Euro Cad still bearish, still failing to give us any solid momentum to the upside. And just take a sip of my drink because my mouth's getting a bit dry. Okay. So weekly time frame, we're still posting bearish candles. Okay, if we zoom out and we look on the weekly time frame, our order block is here. Okay, we haven't actually tapped that yet. Okay, we haven't actually tapped that yet. So I do wonder if we still got some bearish movement. Now, It would make sense, right? Because we're still expecting DXY to strengthen. This is why we've got this bearish potential on Aussie dollar right now. This is why we've got this bearish potential on euro right now. So with Euro CAD, for example, the only thing I don't like about it is the weekly candle itself. Okay, the weekly candle itself is half and half. Okay, it's bearish. The sellers won, but the buyers did begin to come in at 1.34. Okay, and that's something we need to be fully aware of. If we go onto the daily time frame, on the daily time frame, similar to GBP USD, what we have got is we have got that engulfing candle. Okay, we've got that engulfing candle. So again, classic. What I like to happen during the week is I like to see the market retrace on the first couple of days. So what I think we could potentially see here, okay, is coming back into this kind of region around here. Okay, this is daily. So yeah, this kind of region around here, maybe even this daily one here, as opposed to going all the way back up. Okay. And then once we hit that, which is 1.36 or 1.3650, I think maybe what we'll see happen is that breakdown into that 1.3. Okay, that's personally what I believe we'll see. If we go on to the 4-hour time frame, we can see we've got, I'd say our order block would be around this level here, which is very similar to what we just showed anyway. So, and again, that is 1.3650. Okay, that's 1.3650. We also have a little order block here. I wouldn't really class that as one, but we've also got the one at the high here. So I do think we'll get that retracement up to this level here first. Okay, I certainly do think we will get that retracement. And it's just a case now of seeing whether or not we can reject from this kind of region. I don't even think I need to break it down any more than that. The simpler your chart is, the more chance you have of actually just following your analysis and what you believed what was going to happen, essentially. So yeah, that's Euro CAD. Euro NZD. So Euro NZD is looking bullish, still bullish. Okay, so where do I expect this market to reach for? Well, number one, this little wick here, I know there's going to be an order block sitting here on a lower time frame. And number two is this last low here before that new high was created. Okay, that's my target. Okay, which is about 180, 200, 250 pips, something like that, into this region. So if we're expecting these long movements on here, where could we buy it? Now on the daily time frame, we've got an order block which is sitting around this level here. Okay, now we do need to kind of push that high. We've just about done it, so I'd still class that as one of our order blocks. Just be aware that we do have order blocks down here as well. I'm not going to highlight them all, but we do have this kind of level down here as well. But I would be expecting that movement to the upside there. So if I just go onto the 4-hour, we just clean it up. Okay, what we can see is that it's so annoying that this chart just seems to move along with my hand. If anyone knows how to, I don't know how to explain it, but I think it's the Apple mouse. If you move the Apple mouse whilst you're on the chart, it just kind of jitters. Yeah, this is what I'd look for. Okay, 1.62 pushing up into those levels that I just mentioned. Okay, so 1.62 region, that would be able to be refined on the hourly. On the hourly, it would be more down here, but that would require quite the pullback. Okay, but this is the region that I'd be interested in Euro NZD this week. Okay, it's a nice potential move on there. GBP Aussie dollar. So again, let's jump onto the. So I don't even know why I've got this liquidity marked out here, but whatever it was absolutely perfect. I have no idea where that liquidity's come from, but wow, I wish I traded it. Yeah, madness. Anyway, so weekly time frame. What are we doing on the weekly? What are we saying on the weekly? Okay, we are still continuing that bullish move. Okay, where could we be going up to? Number one, we could be going up to this candle right here, which is that last low before the new high, or at least the prominent one, the one that we broke solid structure. So we could be coming up into this region here. If we go onto the daily time frame, we can see a little bit of bullish order flow coming in, okay, which is here. And we've also got that order block, which is sitting right here on the daily. Okay, so my target on GU this week is going to be a push into 1.8. Okay, 1.8, 1.81. Okay, that's going to be my expectation. Now on the daily, we've got the last bearish candle and the lowest candle. This gives us a massive area and range to work from. If we go into the 4 hour, we can start to look at refining it. Okay, so we could see rejections around this level here, or we could see that kind of deeper pullback into last low into here, which is about this level here. Okay, so really what all we need to do is just wait for that price action to come back into this region here. Okay, at least 1.7650, maybe even 1.77 because it's round figure, and then actually look at buying that market. Okay, we then got GJ. So GJ, let's have a little look. GJ again is 50-50. Sellers are in control on last week's candle, but buyers were very, very strong towards the end of the week. We also came back into this area of liquidity. GJ is a tough one for me. GJ is a tough one for me. Last bearish candle, lowest point is there. As you can see, once we came into that, boom, 2-3 days of bullish pressure. And the top side order block is here. As you can see, we haven't broke any structure yet. So really, do we favor the upside potential? Yeah, there's no real structure breaks as of yet. So I think with personally with GU, I'm going to still favor the upside. Okay, if I did want to enter a 4 hour time frame, I'd probably look at this cheeky little block right here. Okay, and then just be aware of these upsides. So I'm going to have an upside potential, upside kind of bias on this market, but in all honesty, it's my least favorite that I've seen so far. I'm just going to do NZD CAD as well. Let me just have a look. So NZD CAD, I think this was actually from one of the previous videos that I did, which is absolutely phenomenal. 8660 to 8290. So if we go on the weekly, still a lot of bearish pressure. Okay, still a lot of bearish pressure coming down. Where could we be targeting? Well, we've already broken this low now, so we need to be aware that we're now in liquidity and we could see a leg like this come up if we at some point. Okay, but liquidity is going to be somewhere below these lows here. Okay, and I'm just marking the body because we've got awkward two separate closure periods here on the week, which means we opened a lot lower than we were the previous week. We've got the wicks. This is obviously COVID, that's why. But yeah, I'm still going to favor that downside momentum. Now on the weekly, there's nothing really to work from. On the daily, nothing really to work from apart from this level here, which again is that last candle, okay, where that move began. And otherwise, apart from that, on the 4 hour, yeah, so this is a very, very tough one. Very tough one. I would say if I was looking at this market, I'd probably want us to come into 8350, maybe nice round figure, liquidity above here, and then begin to flip and turn around at this point and actually look at continuing that downside movement down to that level that I marked. Okay, so guys, I think that's the majority of markets I've done this week. Let me just jump on gold. Actually, I didn't do gold. Gold is bearish still. So again, this is another one we got correct this week in terms of the weekly analysis. Okay. So what could we be heading for? Okay, so we've got this kind of level, which is where we broke. Okay, and we've also around this level got this wick right here. Okay, which is where on a lower time frame there is going to be an area of an order block, a bullish order block. But we have the other thing we've done is we've created a lower high here. So I do see further downside movement on gold, and especially if USD is going to continue with its crazy moves right now, then I think it's almost a certainty that we'll see further downside moves on gold. We've got bearish order flow. Okay, we've got bearish order flow coming in here. This is the last bullish candle. Again, I wouldn't highlight this whole thing, but what we can see is the market is rejecting. Didn't create a new high, then pushed down and create a new low. The order block is here, but that would require one hell of a push on gold, so I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. We've got kind of a little order block in here as well. Again, it's going to require quite a push to get there. So let's just go on to the 4 hour. Okay, what can we see is happening? We've pushed into this little cheeky one here, rejected it quite nicely. Okay, and that might be, again, we've got about 3 of these I've seen this week. A little bit of a fake break of structure where you grab the liquidity from the order block just above. Okay, so a fake break of structure, grab the liquidity from just above. So I personally see gold continuing to fall down into the 1850s. Okay, that's my bias on gold. If, again, always be aware of this scenario, which is we've broken structure. We never know. What the market could do is it could actually just come down into this order block right here and then propel massively to the upside. Okay, just be aware of that. It doesn't mean you have to trade it, but what it does mean, if you're in a position, then you want to just be safe and take those positions off the market, okay, or at least make them risk-free. So guys, that's pretty much everything. I hope you find that useful. If you've got any questions, as always, let me know. I have got another video that I just wanted to do for you guys, which I'll get it done at some point this week. Yeah, I'll get it done for you at some point this week. Hope everyone enjoys their Sunday and everybody enjoys their Monday as well. And if, of course, you have any questions, you know where I am.